Hello ratbags, welcome to part 3 of Nitrado hosting server options. I'm going to give you the definitive guide to how to actually set up your rentable server from Nitrado for ARK. Currently this is for the PS4, but it will be exactly the same for Xbox One. So in part 2 we took a look at all these options and menus. Now we're going to take a look at multiplier, how to back up your save game, and some advanced Unreal Engine settings. Now I had recorded this previously already, but I've had to redo it again. Because I'm pretty sure they've added just a couple more in here that wasn't in here when I'd done my actual first video. So, multipliers. Now, I've done quite a few videos on this. I have said I'll put the links in for the videos in the previous ones, but I'm going to go over it again just so it's all in one spot for you. Dino damage multiplier. Simply put, it increases the damage that you want dinosaurs to cause, and these are wild dinosaurs. So, if you want dinosaurs to be a bit more OP, you simply increase it. Don't go too mad. Trial and error it, see how you get on. If you want to reduce the damage they do, then you simply would do it lower than 1, which would be something like 0.5. It's very small amounts, you don't need to do it large, and that's pretty much the story that runs through all these options. Don't do massive numbers. There's only 1 or 2 that you really need to do big numbers on. Structured damage multiplier. Now for this, it says here underneath on the Nitrado, define the multiplier for damage against structures. Now the way they've worded it, I don't think that's necessarily true. Going back over all my old tutorials, the structured damage slider I'm sure actually refers to actual traps. So things like spike walls, how much damage that stuff will do. So I'm sure it's just the way they've worded it, but it doesn't really actually tell you what it really does here. But I am pretty sure it is related to the actual traps. Player resistance multiplier defines the multiplier for resistance of players. This is one that many people used to get wrong all the time, and by now I'm sure lots of you who played with the settings know exactly the coup. You would think that increasing it would give your player massive resistance to damage, but it's actually the opposite. If you put it anything higher than 1, you're going to be more susceptible to damage. If you want to make yourself reasonably, OP and don't take any damage hardly, you can put it as 0.1. In fact, if you wanted to take no damage at all, just put it as 0. Player resistance, you actually reduce the number to make you godlike. Structure resistance multiplier. So just like I told you with the damage, that's for traps. This one, however, is for all structures. And it's the same thing as the player resistance. If you don't want structures to take any damage, maybe you're making a really friendly PvE, or maybe it is a PvP server and you don't want anyone to wipe out people's bases. Make it extremely hard to raid, because I'm pretty sure it counts as doors as well, so you wouldn't actually be able to break in. Maybe there was some sort of games you're playing where it's only kills in the open, who knows. So you'd actually reduce that to 0.5, and that would actually make it harder to actually break structures. If you want to make it easier, maybe you like the thought of raiding, you want to make your server really super easy for people to go and smash other bases up, then you go ahead and you would increase it. Taming speed multiplier. This has been hotly debated on my servers since I've been running the PS4 servers. Some people don't like taming speed to be quick, others want it to be, generally the same amount of time. Hells nah, I haven't got time to sit around all day taming creatures, so I put it up to 20. On a really high level dinosaur, the highest you're probably going to actually spend sitting there is maybe around 40 minutes. You can have it in fact higher. I've had it on 30 when I've run servers before my Xbox One last year. And so literally it only took like 5 or 10 minutes to tame like one of the highest level dinosaurs. Frequently ARK actually have events where they increase the multipliers, and at the moment they're running a 3 times multiplier. So I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. If you want a semi-balanced one, maybe something like 10 or 15 if you want to increase the taming speed. You might not want to at all, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want anyone to tame. You would simply put that at 0. But we're going to go for my 20. Resources health multiplier. Now, on the actual Xbox and PS4, there is a way you can utilise this so you get lots of harvest health without having to actually smash things for ages. Now, if you use this one in tandem with the harvest multiplier, you can make it so you only take 1 swing at an item and you'll get the maximum amount of resources from it. If you increase this, if you put it at something like 5, it's going to take a lot longer to actually completely demolish a rock or a tree. So if you want to make it easier to harvest, you would actually put that lower. By putting it lower, you're reducing how long it takes for that thing to recover its health, and by putting it bigger, you're giving it more opportunity to recover health quicker. I would normally have that at something really low, like 0.2, but that's because I literally only like hitting something once. In combination with the harvesting multiplier, what you could do is increase this one, something like 8, so one swing will get you the full amount of resources from it. What you shouldn't really do is go and increase that to a big number, and then increase that to a big number. You'll take, what, 3 or 4 minutes to harvest a rock or a tree, and you'll end up getting thousands of wood and thousands of rocks, so you won't actually be able to move unless you've mucked around with the weight settings. So don't get them too confused. Keep a resource health multiplier at a reasonable level, decide, test it out, see how long it takes to actually harvest a rock or a tree, and then you can work out exactly what you want to do with how much resource you actually get. But simply put, the longer you put that, the longer it's going to take, the more resources you can actually get. Dino Hunger Multiplier defines the multiplier starvation of a dinosaur. So yeah, this affects taming, so this is really important. Obviously, if you want your creatures to actually be tamed, they need to eat. So if you set anything below 1, it's going to take forever for them to eat anything. So if you want your dinosaurs to eat quicker, ergo they'll tame a lot quicker as well, then you could put that up quite high. I would normally have it at like something like 8. So again, it's up to you, maybe in the middle somewhere just to test it out if you want to boost your server just a little bit. But remember, that does affect all eating parameters. So your dinosaurs will be more hungry more of the time, so you're going to need to carry more food around. And like I said, it's another way you can actually stop dinosaurs from being tamed. If you put it to 0, they won't need to eat at all. And that is one of the ways that you used to be able to keep some of the bosses when you spawned them in. I think it's been nerfed now, but previously, as long as you've done that, and before they added the option in for the Titanosaur, that was a way you could keep the Titanosaur longer. Dino Stamina Multiplier. Now for this one, if you increase it, it's going to mean your dinosaurs are going to run out of stamina much quicker. So if you don't want them to lose stamina so quickly, put it at something like 0.45. Player Harvesting Damage Multiplier. Now this relates to all harvesting, not just plants or crops, but dinosaurs too. So again, it's another way you can make harvesting really super quick. I normally have that at something like 6. If you don't want that though, then you would reduce it. Dino Count Multiplier defines the multiplier for the amount of dinosaurs. Now be very careful with this one. If you increase it, it will increase the actual upper limit of how many dinosaurs will spawn. You're looking between 20 and 30,000 as a good number, and believe it or not, that's how many entities there could actually be in the game. When you think about the map, all the creatures, all the bugs, all the fish in the water, there really could be that many. Previously on Xbox and PS4 there's been problems where this has been out of sync and certain dinosaurs have spawned in more than others, and a lot of the recent crashes that kept happening with people not being able to connect to their dedicated servers was because there was an overspawn of creatures. So if your server consistently crashes, double check you've not adjusted this too much. Whatever you do with this one, you need to do a destroy wild dinos. Until you do that, it won't actually take effect. So if you do notice a low amount of creatures on your server, maybe it's just a really busy one, maybe you've got lots of players going around and killing them, go ahead and increase it, but be warned. Like I said, if you notice significant slowdown, maybe there really is an overspawn of creatures, go ahead and do a destroy wild dinos and reduce it back down to something like 1. Resource Respawn Multiplier defines the respawn rate of resource nodes. Simply put, if you want that rock or tree to grow back quicker, then you actually reduce it, put it down to something like 0.1 or 2. That would actually make it spawn very quickly indeed, so you don't have to go miles and miles for resources. If you put anything higher than 1, it's actually going to take a long time for that rock to respawn. So be careful again, don't get that mixed up. Again, I would have that at something around 0.3. Regrow Multiplier. Now the way they've worded it here, and when you look on the tooltip, it says resource no replen radius players. It's simply put how resources will grow around a player to stop players from logging off and all of a sudden being put in the middle of a rock when that rock actually spawns back. So again, you can decrease it, and by doing that it means that lots of things will grow back around you quicker. However, you don't want to be blocked in by lots of rocks maybe if you haven't got any tools. So I would actually put that as something around 0.5. Platform Saddle Modifier changes the amount of objects that can be placed on a platform saddle. Ta-da! If you're looking to build lots and lots of things on your saddle, you can go ahead and increase it. Particularly if you want to do super big, platforms where you can put bases on and stuff like that. Dino Harvesting Damage Multiplier. It's the same thing for your dinosaurs. If you increase this, it'll actually mean the dinosaur will do more damage to resources and crops. So again, I have that quite high. I would have that something at like 6. Mating multiplier, woohoo! Get your woohoo on. We're going to reduce that one. We're going to reduce that one and put something like 0.1. That will give you the optimum amount of time that people are going to basically, or people, dinosaurs, are going to make more babies. Can you imagine if you could have babies in ARK? Why has no one made a mod of that yet? Why is there no children in ARK? If you want mating to go longer, you want it to be a longer period between dinosaurs being able to mate, then go ahead and increase it to something like 4 or 5. But honestly, I don't think you need to. I think the timing for that is probably just about okay. However, on my servers, people like to breed and get mutations, so you might want to put that at 0.1 or 2. Baby mature speed multiplier. Simply put, increase that and the babies will grow up quicker. Harvest XP multiplier. This affects the amount of harvest XP. You can go ahead and increase it if you want it to be a case of people getting rewarded for harvesting lots of materials. Then simply increasing it will give you lots. Generic XP works a little bit different. That's the amount of experience you always gain. If you take a look at your experience bar in ARK, it's always going up slightly, even if you're not doing anything. In theory, if you didn't do anything ever, you could technically maybe get to level 100. So be careful with that one, because if you increase it too much, you will unbalance the game and you'll get to level 100 within like a few minutes. Something around 5 is probably the max I would say is a good level. Now when I'm talking about these, don't forget I like playing with the minimum fuss and the amount of time reduced. You really might like official rates and you just want to tweak a little few things, that's great. But for me, I like playing the game quick and fast. Supply crate loot multiplier. Simply put, increase it and you'll get better loot. Baby imprint in stats scale. Now I'm actually going to go through that one and the rest of these baby ones all together. Player damage multiplier. Now you've got to be careful with this one. If you do this one too high, if you hit something and you've got resistance as like fairly normal, you'll actually kill yourself just by harvesting or doing damage against something. So if you want to go around being godlike, make sure you don't increase that too much and give it a test. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure once I had that up really high, it was what was causing me to die every time I attack something. But it is meant to increase the damage and actual, you do to things. So I do normally have that up around 2. Or a destroy of old structures. If you've had people join and have set up a tribe, maybe they've built a little base and then never played on your server again, that's the extra timer you can give for people to come back and actually find their base still intact. So you can increase it and it will take longer for them structures to actually disappear. The way it works is that the last member of the tribe on the server or in that area needs to be close to it to stop that timer from setting off. The minute a tribe member comes back to that area, the timer resets again and you'll have to wait another X amount of time before it starts to destroy itself. I would leave that at something like 0.5, particularly on a especially busy server. It means that anyone that's actually not bothering about playing on your server anymore, then they should have their bases pretty much disappear within time, and it stops you having to go around destroying their bases. It does it automatically. Dino resistance multiplier. It's exactly the same for players. If you want your dinos to take less resistance, you're going to need to put 0 point something. If you want them to literally be killed in one hit by other creatures or players, then you would increase it. If you don't want your dinosaurs to take any damage whatsoever, leave it at 0. We're going to go for 0.8. XP multiplier. That's different from the general XP multiplier, where that one controls how much XP you get over time. This is just the overall XP multiplier. If you have this too high, it could basically make everything triple. So if you're going to increase anything to do with XP, and you've made it quite a big number, don't make this too high, because then it times it again. On average, if you want a boosted server, I would put it at something like 3, maybe even 4 or 5, but nothing too mad, nothing too high than that, particularly if you're mucking around with any of the other XP multipliers. So let's put it at 3. Harvesting multiplier defines the multiplier for the amount while harvesting. So like I said to you guys earlier with the resource health multiplier,
if you actually increase this number, you will get more from your actual things you're harvesting. So I'm going to leave that there like that. Drainie Multiplier. Now this is the opposite. If you don't want to have to drink lots of water all the time, you need to put that at something like 0.3, 0.2. For some reason, if you're having a server that you want people to have to drink more, you can go ahead and put it up past 1 to something like 2 or 3 or 5, 6, 8, 10, wherever it is. But be warned, obviously water drains quite quickly anyway on normal servers, so having it anything above 1 could really be just a bit of a pain. I generally don't like worrying about food and water and things that make you live, so I will put it at 0.2. But obviously I play a lot of single player settings, so this is why a lot of these are like that. For a busy server, I imagine you want to make it a bit more fairer. Starvation is exactly the same. If you don't want to have to eat as much, you go ahead and put it to 0.2, 0.3. If you want to eat more, then put it above 1. Stamina Multiplier defines the amount of stamina draining your players. Again, if you want your actual character to run out of stamina quicker, then you would increase it. If you want it to be quite low, then you put it at 0 point something. Regeneration Multiplier. This is the opposite. If you want your player to recover its health quicker, you need to put it up to a higher number. I would normally have that at something like 8 just to make it a little bit better. But again, if you want crazy regeneration, put it up to a really high number. Same thing goes for dinosaurs. Now we've got Decay Multiplier. This is different from the old Structures Multiplier, which relates to what happens when a tribe is really inactive. Whereas this is the actual timer that you can actually go and take over that actual area or building or destroy it. So normally if you're waiting for a tribe to not come back to the server so you can get in their base and steal their dinosaurs, by increasing it you're going to make that actual wait longer. By decreasing it, it means that players' bases will become unlocked or able to be dismantled by someone else much quicker. Regrow on Structures Multiplier. So this is the radius around your structures. If you want crops to grow closer to your base, you need to actually reduce this. Putting it to 0.1 or 0.2 will mean that rocks and trees will grow very close to your base indeed. However, be warned, when rocks grow back, particularly when you've harvested and then built a base, they could actually regrow in your base or area, and there has been some conflicts where people have not been able to get rid of a tree. It seems to be glitched there forever. If you want people having to go and get resources from miles around, maybe it's a good way to encourage people to go and explore, or to actually play PvP where they have to go advanced areas to go and get resources, you could increase that. You could go mad and put it like 5 or 6. But what you'll find is there will be no trees, no rocks to harvest after a little while, and you'll have to keep going further and further to get resources. So keep it as like 1, maybe a slight bit, lower. We'll go for 0.7. Dino Decay Multiplier. Now, according to everything I've looked up on actual Dino Decay, the actual shorter the number, the quicker it'll actually mean you can claim dinosaurs. One interesting thing though, Nitrado here says that the higher the number, the faster. Yet everything I've actually put and looked into says the higher the number, the actual slower it is. So play around with that and see how it's worked out. I'm pretty sure that the actual faster it is, the actual increasing it, that's what you're doing. But according to Trado, you're actually making it higher, you're actually making it a shorter time. Lay Egg Interval Multiplier. Now, I know this one for definite. If you want lots of eggs to spawn, put it as something like 0.12. But again, be careful, if you have it too high, you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of eggs being laid all the time. So maybe something like 0.5 is a good sort of halfway there. Dino Turret Damage Multiplier. Simply put, increases the amount of damage that is done to a dino. So if you want to make turrets almost obsolete, you could actually decrease it. Or if you want to make turrets like the Holy Grail of PvP, you could increase it. Custom Recipe Effectiveness Multiplier. When you make something, you simply get more out of it. It's going to last a bit longer and it maybe do you a bit more. Custom Recipe Skill Multiplier. Used to be known as speed, but now it's actually skill. Not only does it increase your skill, It does actually mean that if you pump enough points into it, you could actually craft a lot higher quality items in a smithy. It works on a blueprint basis as well. So it does increase speed, but it also increases the quality as long as you're making stuff in smithies or other sort of crafting benches. If you want the eggs to hatch quicker, you put it as a higher number. If you want it to go lower, you put it as 0.1 or 0.2. So generally you might want your eggs to hatch a lot quicker, so I'm going to put it as 10. Kill XP multiplier, simply put, you get more XP for killing stuff. Same for crafting, and the same for special XP. Special XP is things like boss fights, stuff like that gives you extra XP. Fishing loot quality multiplier. You can make the fishing loot. They did nerf this a few months ago. Previously you used to be able to get all sorts of crazy mad ascendant items sometimes while fishing. So I think they reduced the chances of that quite a lot. So you could actually increase it again. Put it up really something quite stupidly high. Right, last one. Baby stat multipliers. Now this was broken on console for so long, but now hopefully it's all fixed. So you can use this same guide on Xbox or PS4 on your single player world. Baby imprint in stat scale multiplier. If you put this at 0, then basically it stops any imprinting whatsoever. If you put it up high, it means you're going to get more of a buff on actual imprinting. Baby cuddle grace period. If you increase this, it's going to give you more time before the actual quality of the cuddle decreases. So you'll have more time to actually cuddle the baby before you start losing the actual 100% tame or imprinting bonus. So you might want to set that up a little bit higher. And now you can actually change the interval of the multiplier, how many times you have to cuddle. If you put this one higher though, it means you have to cuddle them more. So if you don't want to do that as much, put it at something like 0.3 or 0.5. Baby cuddle lose imprint speed. So if you did miss a cuddle, or maybe you've delayed it, the time for that to run out and the baby's actual imprinting starts to lose its 100% target. You can actually reduce, or you can make it quicker, how much that will affect it. If you put it as a high number, I do believe it means you'll lose actual that 100% imprint quicker. If you do it as a lower number, you might not have to lose anything at all. It's been a while since I mucked around with baby multipliers. Like I said, I've never really worked on Xbox or PS4. And I only got a chance to do a couple of these in a few videos a couple months ago. So let me know if you think any of them are wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they do. Unreal 4 engine. Now some of these ones are a little bit different, but pretty much they're still the same sliders you find on the Xbox or the PS4 admin panel. Enable only engrams. If you activate this option, all engrams not properly configured in an engram list will be hidden. Now it works in tandem with the engram entries. Previously on the Xbox and PS4, not that I don't think it ever worked, you would have to actually put in every engram, the code for it, into the box for it to work, and any that weren't in the box wouldn't work. It looks like things are a little bit simpler now. So if you don't want engrams to appear and you've not included them in the actual list, by ticking that they shouldn't appear. Now again, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what that does. If you put this up high, it's going to take longer for items to spoil. So be careful when doing this. You don't want to spend hours and hours and hours waiting for something to spoil. I would probably keep it as its base default settings. Maybe a little bit quicker if you've got a busy server. So something like 1.5 or maybe even 2. Like I said though, sometimes it's only small percentages you need to do, like 1 point something. Play around with it and see what you can find. But that's the same thing for all three of them. Items, spoiling and corpse decomposition. Engram points per player. You can actually put a total cap on how much experience points a player can actually achieve. Maybe you don't want players to ascend, so you could put in the exact amount for experience points for level 100 and that would be the cap. It's a quick and easy way actually to stop people advancing past a certain tier. So if you don't want people unlocking some of the higher engrams, you can just work out the experience points for that level, particularly now as all the engrams have a specific level. In the past it was hard to do this because lots of the engrams unlocked at certain levels, usually multiples of 5. So you'd have 4 or 5 items unlocking at level 75, 4 or 5 items locking at 80, 2 or 3 locking at 85. But now every single item has its own unlock level. So you might get a turret at whatever level it will be, then the next level it will be something like an advanced rifle, etc, etc. So it can be really easy to limit exactly what tier or the highest you can actually make things on the server. Same thing goes with dinosaurs. However, with dinosaurs it's more about the actual player stats. Since there's no engrams to unlock as a dinosaur, the only bonus to this is it's going to stop you from actually putting more points into something. Maybe you want to play with a way that dinosaurs can't actually gain levels. Then you would absolutely put that to 0. Cave structure damage multiplier. If you don't know, a few months ago they actually changed how much damage structures receive in caves. That's to encourage people not to build in them. Previously, if you built something in a cave, it would be very hard for anyone to PvP you. But now with 6 times damage in the caves, it's very quick and easy to take out any type of structure. You can actually increase that or you can decrease it depending on what you want. Some people like the fact that caves can be built in, particularly on PvP servers. It means it's a harder, it can be something you really have to fight over. You will have to decide for yourself. Disable friendly fire. Disables friendly fire among tribe mates, tribe dinos, tribe structures on PvE. You won't hurt your dinosaurs. You won't hurt teammates, and you won't destroy any of your own structures if you tick this on. If you leave it off, you can actually injure your mates, your dinos or structures. So that is it, that is multipliers and Unreal Engine settings. Now there's just 1 or 2 small things I want to show you. Underneath the tools section here you've got restore backup and timed restart. And you can quickly see how often the actual servers automatically make a backup for you. So if something goes wrong, maybe one of your admins, just like the wildcard team did when they spawned in some OP gigas, and that was on official servers and that's what started the huge duping process with all these high powered creatures. What they could have done is maybe just restored the server and it would have taken away all of them problems and issues. But obviously there is a limit to how much of this is manually created. You can see the limit is usually around 2 days. So don't worry if one of your admins accidentally destroys all structures. Maybe you want to have a war day, maybe you want to keep everyone's structures in place though for afterwards. You can simply just restore it at an earlier point. Click on whatever one you want and that's it, it's simply done. There is a server backup option as well, but you won't need that. That's done on a daily basis in case there's anything wrong with configuration. Maybe you've done some tinkering, maybe you've put some stats in or tried settings and you've basically made a mess. Then you could go ahead and restore it and it would give you back at the day before. But honestly, you probably won't need that much. And database backups, leave that one alone. As far as I'm aware, it's to do with actual players and their data joining the server. Database backups you won't need to restore at all. If there's any problems or issues, you can always talk to a nitrado rep and they'll go through it with you. Timed restart. On PC, particularly if you run a lot of mods, your server needs to be restarted every day to actually make sure it gets all the brand new updates for mods. On console that's not such a problem, so you won't really need this. The only time you really should need to restart your server is if you've made any changes to the settings or there is an update incoming. And with ARK's updates being between 2 weeks and a month, and in the future they'll be even less frequent, you really won't need to touch this. So there you go, that is the end of part 3 of my guide to all the nitrado server settings. Part 4 is going to include everything you need to know about the actual engine settings, how you can adjust things like dino and player weight so you can have more weight increase. It's also going to have a little bit of information about cross ARK, so go and check that one out now, it should be live. I am JPlaysGames. If this has helped you out guys, absolutely please go and give my channel a subscribe, share it on social media and hit that like button. If there's anything wrong at all, make sure you write it down in the comment section, or if you've got any suggestions, let me know. Until next time, I'll see you ratbags later.